Hey everybody. So today we're going to be going over, is Joshua Tree a dying market? Is this something that's investable? I'm actually going to go through my own experience. We're going to do kind of like a summer update and just a feel for what I think about the market and just being invested in it, having a lot of clients in it. Just a little bit about me for the people that don't know me. I'm actually the founder of STR Nation, which essentially is all about teaching people how to get into short-term rental space. But I also do a lot of stuff, all of my stuff in Joshua Tree. I own a property management company in Joshua Tree. We have 29 under management total. 24 are live. 6 of those are my own. So I have a pretty good pulse for the market. I'm an investor myself. We do bursters. That's what we like to call them. We take ugly homes, we make them look pretty, and that's pretty much my game. And so I've been doing that for the last 2 years in Joshua Tree, and I feel like I've invested a good amount of money in the area. I've been around a lot of different people, and I think a lot of people don't share a lot of information in the area. And if for the people that are watching this, I actually made a whole video based on data, what the Joshua Tree market's doing. And today we're going to go over a little bit more free flowing, my opinions. And I don't want to make decisions based on just my opinions. But this is from what I've seen and the data that I've collected personally to help you make better decisions on where to buy, but also how to navigate the market when you invest in the Joshua Tree market. So let's get into it, right? So the first thing is, just in general, is that Joshua Tree, is it a dying market, right? And so a lot of people right now, at the time of this recording, it's May 18th, and it's actually getting pretty slow, right? You got the great month of March, April, fantastic. Honestly, the whole winter's great. And now we're kind of entering summer and it gets pretty hot out there. I just came back from Joshua Tree, and you could tell like I'm pretty much like burnt. And it's just part of the place. And there's a lot less people. I definitely noticed a lot less cars. Every time I go there, there's a lot less people, the Tesla chargers. Just in general, all these little indicators, I just see less people walking around. So I know that the market's definitely slowing down a little bit as a whole. And it's normal. We're going into slow season for Joshua Tree, which is the summer. So, this is totally normal. Some of my properties do really well during this time, and actually we're fully booked in May all the way through. Some properties, not so much. A couple of those indicators could mean maybe a little bit more water features are needed in certain properties. That's kind of things that we're adjusting ourselves for our own properties, right? The properties that don't have a pool or a little cowboy pool, it doesn't do as well in summer. So you want to offload that by allowing us to get those amenities. And so some other things that happen is really just it's just hot. But certain properties are booked higher because we booked them ahead of time, and we'll go more into that. I'll go more in depth in that. But I definitely had a interesting conversation with this guy. He used to be a builder. He is pretty big in the Joshua Tree area. His name is Mike Poland. He's the friendliest guy ever. We stopped by his office just to say hi to the real estate agents that are there, just to talk to them. And he popped in. He's been a broker for I don't know how long, but he's been around for 50 years in the real estate space. And he's built a lot of homes in the area. He would drive us by and he would say, yep, that's my house. Sorry, not my house, but that's the house I built. That's the house I built. It's kind of interesting. What he mentioned, and I asked him, I said, so what do you think about Joshua Tree? I hear a lot of other people talking about it. You've been here for so long. What do you think? And he thought of these three. Well, he mentioned these 3 key drivers, right? 1 is a national park. 2 is the largest marine base in the country. And 3 is affordability. Now let's go into all those. Affordability, right? Now the option is for $50,000 to $100,000 more. Do you really want to live in Apple Valley, Victorville? The example he used versus Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley. And it makes more sense that you want to live in a more, I mean, I don't know myself. I don't live in Apple Valley, but just through being there, and actually my business partners flipped a lot of houses there. It's totally different atmosphere in Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree. Like, so it's so nice. It's just a better area in general. It's being developed because there's so much money coming from tourism. So that's just one thing, right? So affordability, right? People want to buy in those kind of areas. Number two is national park, right? You have the huge driving of 3 million visitors a year. And now that number has actually stayed like not stagnant, but it's been leveled for going out of COVID, where most national parks is actually dropped off because COVID, a lot more people travel to national parks, right? So now you have these 3 million visitors, and it's probably going to go up. It's a healthy trend. It's the eighth most visited national park in 2022. It was number 10 in 2021, so that's a good trend. Just general, there's a lot of. I mean, there's always going to be visitors for that reason. Now you have the big areas, on top of that, which is LA, San Diego, and San Francisco. Huge populous areas are also driving this area, and a lot of people are moving even to move in those areas. So that's another thing. And then the last one is the military base. It's the largest military base in the country. The government puts a lot of money into the area. That's one thing that is very important. When the government puts money into any area, they want to make it livable for the people that go there. Not to say that it's, it's not, San Diego per se, but at the same time, there's a lot of people that are going there. It's a lot of investment. It's a huge industry. So there's always that. You can always rent it out to people in the military. So that. Here's my personal experiences about the area, right? My properties are just still doing pretty well. Some definitely a lot less in April, March, no doubt. The ones that do really, really well are the ones that are top of the market, right? But also the ones that do better are the ones that we booked ahead of time. Now, let me explain. A lot of people get into these automation softwares, right? And they'll start doing 2 weeks before the actual date comes about. They'll do a quick 30% drive downwards of the price, right? But there's only a select buyer pool in that time period, right? It works in certain circumstances, but when people are booking, there's a lot more people booking a month, 2 months, 3 months out. Now you're losing those kind of people that could potentially book your place. Now, the better thing to do is to find that sweet spot. For us, it was like, depending on the bedroom count, maybe like 2-3 bedroom, we've seen like a month-ish, month in a week or so, even 2 months out. We've seen a lot of bookings happen. Like we're getting bookings in June, July, and we're happy to take those bookings, even though our properties are nice and probably make more money. We'd rather secure that booking and get it down right. We have strict cancellation policy. It's fantastic. We're going to get that money. We know that we're safe and secure during the slow season. Now, some other ways to drive that, obviously you could do like higher minimum stays. So low price, but make sure the minimum stays are like 2-3 days. That allows you to actually get those people that are coming in for not looking, the people that are paying $30-$40 a night per se. You don't know what kind of person would that be, but like, you're still going to have to pay a significant amount of money, but it's less per night, if that makes sense. So you're still going to get a high quality guest or tenant, whatever you want to call it. But you're also making sure that you're making money on that during that slow season. That's the big thing. Otherwise, it could be not booked. That's another thing. So let me explain my 2 deals. I'm still buying. So my personal experience, like I'm still buying. I actually just put another property into escrow. It's a 5-acre. Let me explain. It's a 5-acre property. What am I really looking for at this property, right? It's actually in Yucca Valley. So I love 29 Palms. I love Landers. I love Morongo, great areas. But when the economy is in a little slump, the better places to invest are in Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley. That's what I've just seen personally. I'm sure you can make money in different areas. The data shows that the highest gross revenues per month happen in those 2 areas. So that's where I buy. And I follow the data, but also I know from my own experience that it works. This property is a one and full transparency, I'm going to give you the numbers, right? Like this property is a 1-bedroom. It's on 5 acres. It's $334,000. Now, for 1 bedroom, that seems pretty steep. It's actually on the other side of Western Hills Estates. It's in Boulders. So that's a beautiful thing, right? So what unique factors does this have, right? As Boulders, it has, it feels secluded, even though there's still houses more or less like nearby. It feels secluded because of how the boulders are positioned. So it doesn't mean it's remote. That's because it is because it's remote, but also more so that it's literally feels remote. That's more important. So just because you have a property that's far out, but the neighbor is right next next door, it gets a little tricky, and people really want that privacy when they come into the area. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And this is, I'm talking specifically about one demographic of person, right? It varies. But buying this, I'm going to eventually subdivide. This is more advanced. I'm going to subdivide it, and I'm going to build on the other 2.5 acres, 2.5 acres, and I'm going to build on the other 2.5 acres. It's going to be a new build, and that is going to, the construction is going to get paid for by the first property that we're going to, that's the 1 bedroom that we're going to renovate and make look nice and have that fuel our new build. So that's kind of the play there. We bought another property. We're going to probably flip this one. We bought it for $225,000 with $7,000 in credits, for seller's credits, buy down. So that's, $218 effective. And that property is a comp to another property that I own. And I know that I can make that property with $80,000 to $100,000. We can probably get it to in valuation of 400-ish. 350, 400. And that's going to vary. I mean, market might shift, it might change, but I know that if I made it a full-time short-term rental and added maybe another additional 50, so 100, let's say I put in 120,000, right? Or 130. And if I put in that kind of money on top of the let's say 225, so we're all in, I can't do math, but in the 400s, and we're appraising at the 550s. I know that because my property down the street, but half a mile away, appraised at that value. What's so great about this property? It's remote. It doesn't look that nice, honestly. We're going to totally renovate it, but it's remote. It's a low price point. We have a lot of room to add value, and we can make it however we want it because it's an open slate. And we can always subdivide the land and have another 2.5 acres that you can build on. So there's a lot of value in 5 acres. There's a lot of value in 2.5 acres. There's a lot of value in being in a feeling of being remote. I've said this multiple times at this point. I won't, I'm just drilling it a little bit in, but yeah, it's just great. And so I've also seen just personal experience. Those are 2 properties, right? But I also seen a lot of my experience that there's a lot of development going on. A lot of development. There's people buying up plots of land and developing on it. And development usually takes around like a year and a half, 2 years, might be more. So all of these new properties that came in through 2021 starting to now, you're starting to see these really unique properties pop up. And so what does that really mean? It means that there's a lot of people pouring money into the area. So that is a good indicator on my end. The numbers justify the investments in the sense that we have properties that do make $200,000, $300,000 a year. So we know that we can make that happen. There's buyers to pay that money. And so we are very confident in the sense that, like, with all these new developments going on, like, this area is going to be only appreciating even more. So your land values are going to be going up, right? So let's talk about maybe how to find a property in the area. Like, great, you gave me all this information. How do I find a property in this area, right? So there's a couple things to consider, right? And the things I mentioned, I'm just going to nail those right away. Unique properties do really well. Yes, 4 bedrooms are better, 4 or 5 bedrooms, but at the same time, 4 or 5 bedrooms could potentially sit. So what do I mean by that, right? So there's certain properties that are 4 or 5 bedrooms that don't do well. And I thought, well, the data shows that 4 or 5 bedrooms usually do better. Yes, but also your buyer pool is a little less, right? So yes, if you split it across multiple people, you can make more money, but you need to make more money to justify the price of that asset, 4 or 5 bedroom. So the best way to do it, the properties that do succeed, that make I actually have a property that makes 250, potentially could be $300,000 this year. And it's a 5 bedroom. It has a pickleball court. It has a pool. It is on 5 acres. It is remote. It is not crazy awesome inside, but it's done really well. It's got good design. It's got a full gym in one of the they have this external home, like barn house thing, storage thing. And it does really well. So that property is, in essence, special, right? It's a special 5 bedroom, special 4 bedroom. It's one of those properties that really bring up the averages. Now there's 1 and 2 bedrooms, and those get booked, but they get booked less. in the sense that their occupancy is lower, but their price points are higher. We can get in May, we've been getting like, honestly, we've had one weekend 2,000 a night for a weekend. And so definitely some money to be made there. But at the same time, 1, 2, even potentially 3, but 1, 2 bedrooms, usually they get booked out way more. The occupancy is higher, but at a lower rate usually. But that lower rate, it could make sense, right? We can get lower rate. I mean, like $300 versus 700, 1,000 a night, right? So it could make sense at the $300, $400, even $500 average. I mean, we have a studio that has a pool, and it makes, well over $100,000 a year gross. So, what does that studio have? It has the land, it has the amenities outside, it has, the things that people look for, which is essentially your driving experience. People are coming to the home for that experience. So that's the big thing to consider about Joshua Tree. It's an experiential market. Yes, there are a lot of drivers that get people out there, but there's also a lot of drivers to get people away from the city. So that's big to consider. Those things definitely recommend 2.5 acres, even 2 acres, even like 1 acre if it's remote. If it just feels remote, that's what matters. Yeah. Boulders do really well. Views do really well. Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley, great areas. 29 Palms, you can also do it. But Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley, pools do make it a lot better, especially if it's a higher end home. Cowboy pool with a hot tub on a deck will do just good enough. We've seen that time and time again. Those usually, I mean, it's hard to gauge the price point on that, but it could be like 15,000. I mean, the cheaper ones could be like 7.5, 7, smaller. It's not really that big of an investment for the impact it could make. But yeah, definitely recommend looking into that. Now let's talk about 400 to 500K club. What do I mean by 400 to 500K club? There is a plethora of people out there that can only afford the $400 to $500,000 range. Now, the point in any kind of business is there's a barrier of entry to get in, right? So when there's a barrier of entry, it's harder for other people to get in. When it's easy for other people to get in, because in the past it was, okay, you can buy something in a residential market, you can put a hot tub in it, it's going to generate $80,000 a year, $100,000 a year. Well, it's not COVID anymore. Supply has risen. There is uniqueness. Everyone else is doing a hot tub, right? That's not unique anymore. You got to step up your game, right? So how do you compete as a property with no reviews? Because you're competing against people with 200, 300 reviews, which get prioritized in the Airbnb algorithm, at least. How do you compete with those people, right? You have to have a superior product. And it has to be one that's not as easily replicable. What's hard to replicate? Location is very hard to replicate. That's the number one thing I consider. So buying right is so important. What else is really, I mean, everyone, and actually going back to 400, 500K club, the barrier of entry is low because everybody else, everyone and their mothers has 400 to 500K approved to be able to buy a property. Now you're competing a lot against a bigger buyer pool. Some of them might be having cold feet and you're probably not seeing them snatch up properties or whatnot, but they're there. And there's a lot of them because I've had a lot of them reach out to me after the first video, and there's nothing wrong with that. Actually, if anything, you just got to be a little more creative, right? So those people, I mean, I would not recommend buying in residential areas. Like you could make money, but it's going to be capped. I like buying properties with land and having a feel of getting away from everything, because that is the appeal of Joshua Tree. That's something that Joshua Tree has that Palm Springs doesn't, so it's something that I would 100% recommend. And yeah, and so that's a big thing. Getting creative, adding a little bit more value through renovations, seeing something that's not maybe the best all the way up, and being very conservative in the sense that it's going to take a good amount of money to get it up and running, but just that's what it takes to sometimes get in the market. Knowing people like I guess myself and my business partner, we flip properties and we put them on the market. We know other people that do. We know new developments that are about to hit the market, and they're off market. So you can get to them before the other people are there, right? And I can't guarantee I can get you those deals. I don't know, but the key is really going out of the way in that aspect. Now let's go to back on the market, right? I think a lot of buyers are having cold feet right now. They don't know what's going on with the market. A lot of times, I think a lot of people ride on the sidelines in general when they don't know, they don't have the data. And that's why you listening to this is you trying to get educated, which is really smart. I would say that if you're in this position listening to this, that means you care and you really want to take action. And I recommend, highly recommend making disrespectful offers. This is the time to do that. And this is just my hypothesis, but I think that a lot of people are they're ready to buy, but they don't want to make that commitment. They don't want to take that step forward, especially for the first property. And because of that, the interest rates have skyrocketed. There's a lot more inventory on the market, and there's these sellers with these expectations that it's still COVID, right? They're demanding these crazy rates, or their property's been sitting for a while and there's keep lowering and lowering, and now they have 200 days on their property, and it's like, what's going on? So make disrespectful offers. And what do I mean by that? Disrespectful offers is not going up to somebody and saying, I'm going to give $100,000 for your property that's worth $1 million. What I mean by that is within reason, right? So let's say there's a property that you see and you say, no way, you're so far off. You know how many other people are thinking the same thing? Oh, this is way too far off. I'm not going to make an offer. Make the damn offer. I promise you, sometimes things happen and the world works in magic. And I've secured many deals this way, where I put in the offer. I'm like, listen, I don't want to, I'm doing it a nice way, right? I don't want to disrespect the seller, but I don't think this property is worth X amount that you're asking for. And I think it's worth closer to this. And I'd be open to buying at that price. We can make an offer, sit on it, see what you think. Even if they get into escrow, they might fall out of escrow. There's so many things that could happen. Worst thing they say is no. But if you're not putting in offers, you're just lurking, just like everybody else. And those properties that are priced really low are going to get multiple offers, and you'll be pick of a dozen, as opposed to just getting there right off the bat before they make the price cuts or before they post or whatever. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Is just don't wait for. Don't take it as this is what the market's asking for. This is what it's worth. Make your own worth, run your own numbers, see what really you would offer for this property and what really would make sense, and then throw that number out. You'd be surprised. So definitely recommend that. And one, two bedrooms are great if they're remote. I know the last video I said 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. There's a lot of them, and I get that. But at the same time, 4 or 5 bedrooms also no much better. When you have a high cleaning fee, 4 or 5 bedrooms, you're going to have higher cleaning fees. So automatically it's going to be more expensive of a property. You're going to get booked less at higher rates, hopefully. But if it's not done right and it's not designed well, it's not finished, it's not going to do well. So 1, 2 bedrooms are going to stay booked constantly. And if it's done really well, it's going to be all the time, 90 to 100% occupancy. We've seen, at least with our properties. And let's just go into the next part, which is like, what do you do in the summer? Like, this is my first time in Joshua Tree in the summer, or like, how do I navigate this slow season? I would 100%, I'm iterating, book ahead of time. Make sure you get that booking ahead of time, get into those properties, and secure that guest, and just a peace of mind, right? Your mortgage is going to be paid. Everything's going to be fine. It's slower season. It gets tough. Get a pool if you can. It's worth the investment. It's good just to go all out and just get it done right, because then you're just backtracking. You're losing much money over the months making an average property versus having it done right, done well, getting it on the market. Those are the clients that I see personally under our management company, Stays You Like, that do the best, is because we see that they finish it correctly. They don't half-ass it, quite frankly, and they reap the benefits, and they get booked constantly, and they're happy. So do that. If you can get a pool, get a pool. But if you can't, a cowboy pool's fine. There's actually a huge wait list on cowboy pools. So Facebook Marketplace is a great place to look. I'm actually looking at a cowboy pool now, so that's probably going to hurt my chances. Everyone else is looking. But here are my secrets. And then you can also find them on Craigslist or things of that nature, offer up. And then there's long wait lists at times. So make sure to get onto that. And cowboy pool with the deck is great. You can make some good money, and we actually have cold plunges in some of our properties, and cold plunge is different. So it differentiation, that always helps, and it just helps with your ADR, average daily rate. Yeah, and summer is just a really time to develop your property more, use it. Short-term rentals are, vacation areas, and use your property. It's the reason you bought it as well. Like, you wanted to make money, but at the same time, you can enjoy it and see, maybe it'll inspire you to do something different that allows you to make more money. So that's what I recommend. That's all I have on the data. Just from my own experience, 26 properties under management, around closer to 30 actually, but not all of them are listed. And we do property management, short-term rentals. That's all we do. And stays you like. We're growing in the area, and we're really excited. So if you have any questions, I'm an open book. I have my agent's license as well. I'm not looking to do as many sales for everybody, but I'd be happy to assist and show you a house or do whatever. I'm not pressed about making money through that. I do it for myself because I'm an investor and I like to sell my own homes. But if you truly need somebody to represent you and get you to the next level, then I'm happy to do so. And yeah, I'd be happy just to chit chat. You have my information. You can reach out to me, and it's in the bio below. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm an open book, happy to chat. And I just want to make sure I'm the abundance mentality. You could do whatever you want. Honestly, sometimes it's better to self-manage if you need to. And I think I want to make Joshua Tree a better place. And I think that people give it a bad rep, especially with people buying wrong. And I don't want more people to buy wrong, because it's just going to discourage more innovation area. We all win the moment that the standards of the properties go up. Then it's a more visited area, and then we all win from that. So abundance mentality, there's plenty of properties out there. Let's all win together. So thank you so much for listening, guys.